Yesterday, Hannah, one of my farm helpers, and I divided tubers yesterday. So we dug them up. We put them into these little crates like this here, and they dried out overnight. And what I'm looking for is that the areas that we cut are nice and dry. The tubers are still really firm and not shriveled. So sometimes when it gets really hot here, instead of drying them overnight, I may just dry them for a few hours. And if the tuber is thinner than usual, that I will also just dry it for a few hours potentially. But these ones are pretty good, solid sized tubers. None of them shriveled overnight. They all feel really good. So what you're kind of looking for when you put your tubers away and then when you take them out in the spring, that they're just as solid, just as firm as you put them in as when you're going to take them out and plant them. So that's one of the tips, is dry them out a little bit. But what we're going to do next is put them into some slightly moist peat moss. So when I say slightly moist, it's when I grab it, there's no moisture coming out. It just feels a little damp to my hand. You don't want it too wet. So in California, we are pretty dry here. So we need to store in a medium that has some moisture in it. I know friends in the Pacific Northwest are trying to keep their tubers from rotting because there's so much moisture. So it's a good idea to check with someone in your area and find out how they store and what they store their dahlia tubers in. So dahlia tubers can be stored in, I've seen them stored in vermiculite, in little bits of wood pieces, newspaper. But here in California, I think what works best is slightly moist peat moss. So here we have the tubers that we divided. This is Dory T. This is one of our new seedlings that will probably get introduced next year. And here we have like just individual tubers. You can see them, they're all here. They have eyes on them. If you want to zoom in, there's some nice eyes right here and here. So these are things that you definitely want to have on your tuber, is an eye. Your tuber has to have an eye, it has to have the body, and usually it has a neck. These guys are sort of short-necked. Here's one with a longer neck. And the neck has to be firm and not broken, because if the neck is broken, it won't sprout the following year. So, and then you can see here, some of these are in kind of what you would call I call mini clumps. So these were really tight tubers, and so we just took the tuber clump and cut it into maybe quarters or fifths, something like that. And so this is ready for storage just like this. So the eyes are on here, different places, hiding in here, and a little tuber clump like this will really get your season off to a good start. So if you don't want to store in just individual tubers, you can do these, what we call mini clumps. So the next thing we do is we have our storage containers. These are dollar store shoe boxes that we get, and then we slip the name of the tuber into here. And when we put them away, I'm going to do the individual tubers because it's a little easier. Is we just lay them, we put in about an inch or so of peat moss, and then we just lay them just kind of not touching each other. And the reason we do that is if they were touching each other and let's say one of them rotted, it may cause its friend next door to rot. So we just put them in like this, and then what we do is add another layer of peat on top of that, just kind of like that, just to make sure you cover it. And then you do another layer like this, all the way up to the top, like this. And then once I get to the top here, at the top of the shoebox, I'm gonna put peat as the last little bit on the top here, and keep a little bit of an airspace also once I put the lid on. Let me grab a lid over here. So the lid will then go on like this. Well, first we'll put a tag inside. So in case something happens to the tag on the outside, you have a tag on the inside. And then you put the lid on like that. Now what's good about having a lid with a little bit of space like that is sometimes if this gets too moist, little droplets will form and then drip down into the peat moss. And if you had a tuber just sitting there and it got dripped on, this tuber could rot. So that's how we do it. So with Dory T, you can see we're going to have to do multiple shoe boxes, and that'll work too. I hope everyone has a good
So,
day. Once your tubers are in the peat moss and stored here in this little shoe boxes, for us they go into a cool shed. This is our cool shed. It's kept at about 42 degrees all winter. And what that will do is keep the tubers from sprouting no matter what the temperature is outside. In California, we're in the 70s right now. If we dig and divide our tubers, sometimes in a warm place, they'll just start to sprout again. They'll think it's spring. So this is a good way to organize our tubers. We like this. It's got the little tag on it. We can always see what we're doing. And then if it gets too wet inside and you've got a lot of moisture on your lid, you can always just crack these for a couple days like that. And it's a good idea to check your tubers throughout the winter too, to make sure that everything's going well with them. Have a good day.